stuff?
For hundreds of years, man has been altering food, whether to make it better, tastier, juicier, or heartier plants. We have modified our plants to produce things in higher volumes, and we've done this by crossbreeding. This is fairly natural as it happens, as it occurs naturally in nature. Say, for example, you have two plants that are planted next to each other. A bee goes from one flower to the next, cross-pollinating, creating a new and different fruit. However, what we've done today is very unnatural and its safety is questionable. This is called bioengineering food, or otherwise called genetically modified food. I am here today to explain to you why it is unsafe and that we should avoid it. If you were walking in the woods and you saw a new plant, something that you didn't recognize, you would never dream of eating it before finding out whether or not it was safe to eat. However, we will go to the store at any time and eat something and just assume that it is safe, whether it has been tested properly or not. We need to recognize the dangers in our bioengineered food and know where to find them, be knowledgeable about them, and avoid them. I will begin today by explaining to you some of the failing methods of our testing. If a company was to release a toy for a baby, they would have to do all kinds of testings on the materials. They would do it on whether or not there's toxins in the materials, whether or not there were sharp edges, or things that could pinch your fingers. They would do all kinds of testing to make sure that this product was safe. They would then test the product to make sure that it actually accomplished its task. In this case, it would be satisfying a baby or entertaining a baby. However, in the case of modified foods, we don't feel it necessary to put it through these rigorous testings. There have been some tests, mostly short-term, and also on animals that are not similar to the human being. These particular products are not just a new way to prepare our food. It is actually new food. After adding genes to the food, they are therefore creating a completely different product that we are unaccustomed to and is very unpredictable. Just because a mouse or a rat reacts to this product in a certain way does not mean that a human does. There are even inconsistencies between the different mice and rats as to how they are reacting to these new types of foods after being introduced to them. Some actually die, some gain weight, some have become sterile, and some have their young die. But all across the board, all of them show significant reduced digestion. All of these tests that have been done are all on a short-term basis, however, and we have no idea what happens when we are exposed to these things on a long-term basis. Some of the side effects that have been found are including increased allergens, increased toxins, reduced ability to produce, and or have smaller and unhealthy young. When you know the information about the things that we have found in testing, you have to ask yourself why it is growing so rapidly in the U.S. Some of the perceived benefits would be a monetary gain. It has a lot to do with greed, and we are currently meeting the demands of food, and we are also exporting significant amounts of food. So therefore you ask yourself, why then do we need to make more food and greater food and have less loss? The answer is that the corporations of the food companies are greedy and they would like to make more money. They want bigger products and they want more to distribute so that they can make more money. The question is then, is money worth risking your health for? If we're doing this for monetary gains in order to remain competitive, then the question is, what are the other countries doing? The U.S. is by far the largest producer of genetically modified foods, where we have over 150 million acres of farmland each year that's farmed with modified food. Our closest competitor is 100 million acres less than us. In Brazil, they're at 52 million, as it shows here on my chart. As the different countries and the acreage, we're up here at 158 million, and down here in South Africa it goes as low as 5. There are only a few other countries that are even involved in this. America, or the U.S., also has the greatest variety of foods that we produce here. Some of the countries in Europe are beginning to slowly cut back on their genetically modified foods. China has just recently accepted their first product, and countries like Germany have discontinued and banned all use of genetically modified foods as of 2008. With this information, you might be wondering what you can do about it. The answer is read your labels. The statement, if you can't read it, don't eat it, goes a long way. If you read your labels and notice that it's more unnatural products than natural, you might use caution when eating those types of foods. Anything that's hydrolyzed is made in a laboratory. Anything that says modified is also made in a laboratory. Be aware that the food companies have come up with very creative names to cover up these substances and additives that they are putting in our food. One of the best ways to avoid this is to make your own food. These items are found much more in highly processed foods, where they are less found in raw materials that you might use to make your own food. If we stand up for our health and nutrition, these companies have no choice but to do one of two things. They will either stop producing it, as the demand for these types of foods will go down, or they will be forced into testing it and finding something that is safe and proper for our consumption. Knowing these risks that I have shared with you today, is it really worth risking your health and possibly your future for monetary gain? For you and your family, it's best to avoid eating modified foods, or stop altogether until further testing has been done to prove that these are safe for us long-term consumption. If you wish to live a long and healthy life as nature intended, you should eat the food that nature has provided.